I know what needs to happen with some of my fenders fitting on the front. Everything else is lining up, I'd say good. And I think I know what needs to happen, but it's like, it's a little bit frustrating because it feels like moving backwards. And if there's really anything that frustrates me, and not very much frustrates me, but if there's anything that does, it's feeling like you're moving backwards. So, remember the bolt holes for the fender mounts that I fixed that were all rotted out? This is a good reminder that I'm not like a metal worker. I think I just have to go back and fix some things. Right there. Everything just shrunk in a little bit, so I've got a gap. And I think I can pull on some things a little bit and line them up a little bit. But really, I'm just looking at it right now. It's so dumb. 10 steps forward, 11 steps back. I've got to go back and just fix it. It is what it is. We'll keep moving forward. I just hate moving backwards. So something's like happened. I don't know if it's good yet or not. I'm just kind of sitting trying to process next steps or what this means. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I've either been given a gift or I'm going down the wrong path. I guess I should show you. Just working on this right now. And I was just dealing with this section right here. I'm just at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to cut it up. I'm just going to take extreme measures. And I'm like, well, I better put the running board on. And right down here where the running board meets, here was a big gap. And I just pulled this over again to line that up, and wouldn't you know it, there goes my gap, it's gone. So I don't know. Like I really had to pull right down here, which then kind of pulled this over a little bit. And everything is just, I mean, I can put the nuts in there now and everything will just come right together. But is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. I'm far from being ready to weld, but this is the best it's looked in days. But now I've got kind of a big gap down here, but I could maybe fiddle with the hood and I could also pull that clip out a little bit. It might be just sitting back or forwards a little bit, need to tilt it. So I don't know, guys. Have I just been given a gift? Do I just run with this? Over here too, I get the nuts in there and that'll all come in too. I mean, if you have to force it in, but it looks good, is that right or wrong? I actually don't know. But right now it looks really good. other than the front a little bit. I need to fiddle with that. But again, I'm far from ready to weld. I don't know. I mean, if it works, my thinking is I only need to put the fenders on once. Well, that's the plan anyways. Put them on for the last time and never take them off again. So even if I gotta pull on that fender a little bit, see, you pull on the back and then it pops the front out just a little bit. That's kind of how my back fenders are too. So I don't know, I'm not exactly celebrating yet. But maybe I've just been given a gift and we're going to go with it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so let's talk about these fenders. So I mentioned in the last episode that the fenders were really the key that was making things really difficult. It seemed with this clip replacement is getting those fenders on and fitting. You'll see that the passenger side fender had a huge gap in it between the body and the fender. And it was so frustrating, and I couldn't just get it to fit. And I didn't understand what was happening. When I had taken it off the car, everything was lined up and everything was fine. So I really wasn't understanding what was happening, and frustration levels were really high. I think this is the only time in the entire build where I really thought of walking away. Like, these fenders made me want to quit. Because on a Volkswagen, especially a Beetle, the fenders are iconic. If you can't get them right, and if you can't get them fitting, what's the point? So this was a huge sort of bone of frustration that just, I couldn't figure out a way forward. And it was really frustrating because everything else up to that point, I could find a solution. I could work through the problems and find the solution. But for whatever reason, I wasn't finding the solution. So as I was working through the problems, I thought initially it was one problem, and then I thought it was another problem, and then I finally found out what the issue was. But basically, it ended up being that the fenders, the one passenger side fender, for whatever reason, was like torqued and twisted, and that was the issue. The other issue too actually was, and I don't know if I talk about this or show this in the video, the two fenders weren't matching. There was something weird with the fenders, but they were definitely two fenders that didn't match. And you wouldn't have noticed unless you looked really closely. And I still don't know where one fender came from and the other fender came from. Maybe one was German, maybe one was Mexican. I don't know, but they weren't matching even to begin with. So luckily I had that parts car fender. Well, not really a parts car, but Fender was sitting in the yard. I grabbed the fenders off of him and I threw them on Helen, and wouldn't you know it, everything was fine. So I think I had struggled with that and was trying to work through the problems for probably 3 or 4 days in a row, trying to figure it out. And I was at the point where I was going to start cutting things up, which would have been catastrophic. That would have been terrible. Getting a bad torqued fender and then cutting up your body to fit the bad fender. Oh man, that would have been just awful. So I'm really glad I just kept on working through the problems. And I think at one point I did have someone on my social media say, hey, grab the fenders off of your other car and see if they work. And I didn't do that for a day or two. And finally I was like, okay, well, let's do that. Because I had no reason to believe that the fender that was bad. Because when I took it off the car, it looked like it appeared to be fine. But that just goes to show you kind of have to go down every avenue and pull on every thread until you solve the problem. And sometimes it's really simple. So even with everything pretty well fit, it's rough fit, and things are looking pretty good, there's still a lot of fine tuning that you need to do to make sure that, when you go and weld, you don't have major gaps or your gaps aren't too tight and stuff like that. And so for some reason at this point, I hadn't used Clecos before. Clecos are those little, hard to describe, but they just, you stick them through 2 panels and they put a lot of force on them and they just hold them together really tight. I hadn't used Clecos before. Get Clecos. They're amazing, actually. So that really helped. As soon as I verified the fitment of the clip and it was fitting with the fenders and the hood and everything looked good, I put my clip up against it and I put in some Clecos. That way I've got my locators and everything's going to stay the same now. Clecos are great. And then it was just fine tuning and then setting things up for welding and then more looking and more verifying and just like, you just had to, this is a big one. This is another one that if you don't get right, it can ruin the look of your car. So I spent a lot of time just looking and verifying before I made that first weld. And honestly, the welding bit is fast. There's not a lot of welding that you actually have to do on the front clip, but I would say I probably worked at the front clip replacement for 2 whole weeks, I think. I was gone for a little bit in the middle. So like it was like from start to finish, it took 3 weeks. Like I worked on it for 2 weeks, but then I was gone a little bit in the middle. So yeah, it's just going to take a long time. Maybe you're faster. I don't know. I haven't figured out how to do. If I did it again, I'd probably be faster. But man, that first time, it was kind of a slog just to fit everything. You know, aftermarket parts. You get it. The other thing I do always with my aftermarket panels is I strip all the paint. I have a lot of people say, "Why are you taking that paint off? It's good primer." It's not good primer. It's not. It's just primer that is used to protect it during storage and sort of transportation and stuff like that. So it is not good quality primer. And the amount of times I've taken off that paint and have found a little bit of surface rust under that paint and primer, it's enough times that make me want to take that paint off every time. So you'll be surprised how often you'll find a little bit of surface rust underneath of that sort of protective primer. But take that stuff off. It is not a good foundation for a really nice paint job. One that's going to last, one that's going to keep the moisture out, things like that. So I always recommend take that paint off. And just to kind of sum up, this was probably, I mean, as much of a struggle as it was, this was probably my most satisfying panel replacement that I did. Once I got it done and everything was in and looking really nice, it was really satisfying to see that whole front end together in one piece, not all crumpled up, not all kind of like cattywampus and, you know, pushed to the side because of the front end collision. This was a really satisfying result and I was really pleased with how it went. So honestly, if I can do it, if I can figure out how to do it and have a good result and feel good about it, I think that just about anybody can do it with a little bit of patience, a little bit of forethought. I say that a lot. It's patience and forethought. You have to be thinking about next steps and how everything works together. But I think anybody could probably do this if you just take the time, you get frustrated, you walk away, come back, rethink it, and just work your way down every avenue and you'll come out with a great result. And I think as far as welding and panel replacements, that was the last really big one. And I left it to the end because I knew it would be the one that would probably be the hardest, and it was. And I left it to the end so I would have a lot of sort of panel replacement and welding experience before I got there, which was such a good idea. If I had done it first, it would have been a disaster. But I had been doing metal work for 12 whole months and I finally got to that. And it worked out really well. So really happy with the result. Just be patient, just stick with it. Expect bad fitting parts and you'll be fine. Okay, so just fair warning, this is gonna be longer than 90 seconds because we gotta talk about some things. So, basically, you guys saw. Late Sunday night, I was getting ready to leave town. I wasn't feeling really good about how things were happening with the fender here. And I knew it was just going to bother me a lot. So basically, like, our sort of last ditch effort was to go grab the fenders from Fender. Because remember, that's why we got them in the first place, is because I needed rear fenders. And I'm actually just quite delighted that we get to use like all his fenders now. I just think that's very appropriate to his name. Anyways, off topic. So I grabbed, this was the last ditch effort before we started like drastic measures, cutting things up, lighting her on fire, those sorts of things. And so I'm really glad it was kind of the last thing. I grabbed the fenders, we tried them on Helen, and they fit perfectly. Like it made me really mad how perfectly they fit. But in a good way. So basically where we're at now is that we'll swap out both of these fenders that came with Helen, the blue ones, and we're going to put in these white ones, which I think are original. I've been told that there's a way you can tell with one of the holes that's a little bit smaller. So these are actually, if I'm looking right, these are actually original. They're not re-pops or anything like that. So that's great. This will come off not because it's wrong or anything, but because we're just going to go with some matching fenders. And I'm really glad I kind of stuck with kind of running down every avenue, pulling on every thread, because we were really at the point where I was thinking I would have to cut this up and kind of redo some stuff down there. But what was frustrating was that I knew that my the two repairs I did down here to fix up these bolt holes, I knew that they weren't, like, they couldn't have been as bad as what this other fender was kind of showing me with this big gap that was here. Like, I knew it couldn't have been that bad. And so I'm really glad that I kind of just stuck with it and threw these on. I'm sure many of you were like, just try the other fenders. But, you know, I was certain of other things, but you can't know something until you know it. Now I know it. It was a real head scratcher for a really long time, but we got there. All my measurements are perfect, guys. This is as perfect as it's going to get. We're going to start welding in the clip tomorrow. Or it's today for you guys. This is actually Wednesday night, but I'm going to post this till Thursday. So anyways, that's where we're at. And we're several days behind. I thought I'd have this done on Saturday last week. So we're behind. Not that it matters, but I just would have liked to have had this done already. So we're going to work on that and get that done. So yeah, that's where we're at. don't think I have any words even. Except for that we did it. It's done. And it looks good. Everything fits. I'm happy. Obviously I have just a little bit, like, never quite totally finish it. Got a little bit of welding on the inside to do. I'm not going to show you right now. I'll post a reel and maybe some pictures tomorrow, but everything went great. And now there's no more big weld jobs. There might be some small ones. I've got something on the door that I need to do. But everything is small from here out. Strip paint, a few small weld jobs. Then we can put this in primer. Plus the sunset is really gorgeous tonight. It's a good one. I'll post a picture. We get good ones every night though. What a relief.